Power BI. So in the previous session, we stopped at appending the queries where we combined the three data sets, that is population 2010-2019, 2020-2029, and 2030-2040. To combine all of these data, we use the append queries. Okay, let me just share my screen first. Okay, just give me a minute. Yeah, so this is what we did, right? So we combined the three data sets using the append queries. Why we use append queries is because we had the same structure, meaning the columns, the names of the columns and the position of the columns were the same. The only difference was the time period. So we used append queries to combine these, combine these data sets to form a new query, right? So we did not use append queries, but instead we used append queries as new. That created a new table. Okay, so now we have data combined, okay, that is coming in from all the three data sets. So the next concept you are going to learn is how to rename a column and how to change the data type of a column, right? So to rename a column, there are two ways. One is to right click on the column you want to rename and select the option, right? It is at the bottom of the this particular options window here. You can select the rename option, or the easiest way is to double click on the column you want to rename. Okay, so let us rename the columns now. Okay, so let us rename loc ID as country space ID, and let us rename location as country. Okay, so we are going to basically rename it in simple words so that anyone and everyone can understand what exactly the columns or the values of the columns contain. Okay, and let us rename the time as year. Okay, and these three right now they are shortened versions of the full name, right? Age group, right now it has been named as age GRP. So let us name it in the full so let us give it let us expand the value now. So age space group. Okay, age space group, and population female and population, pop male and pop female, let us rename it as population space male and population space female. Okay, population space male and population space female. Okay, so this is how we can rename a particular column in Power Query Editor. Now let us learn about how to change the data type. Now remember, in the first class, I asked you guys to disable the auto detect data type, right? That those three boxes. I mean, one was for auto detection of data type, while the other was auto detection of relationships. Okay, for the relationships part will come, in the next classes. But here, since we disabled the data auto detect data type, right now the data type is sort of alphanumeric data type, right? So basically it is undetermined here. So the data type icon will be present to the left of the column names here, right? So when you click on the data type icon here, which is to the left of the the column name, you get several options here, right? So the first section is the numeric data type. The second section is the date time data type. The third section is the text. Fourth is the binary, this is the Boolean data type. Then comes the binary data type and the using locale. So using locale is nothing but the regional settings, right? So I will show you how exactly this using locale works. Okay. So basically, it depends on the language you're using, right? Whether it is English India, English, for any other country, right? Or any other language out there in the world. Okay, so that is nothing but using using the locale settings. Basically, this is nothing but setting the regional the region, right? Whether you are in India, whether you are in UK, whether you are in USA, right? It depends on that. Okay, so that is nothing but the using locale option here. So let us not bother about that for now. Okay, if you have any different locale selected, please make sure to change it to English India. Okay, now let us change the data type of country ID. So basically we have to change the data type of all the columns here, right? Because it is kind of undetermined right now. It is alphanumeric right now. Okay, so let us give it a precise data type. Okay, so if you have a look at the country ID, right? If you have a look at the country ID, all of them are whole numbers, right? So 558, 56, 562, they are all whole numbers, right? So let us set the data type of country ID to the numeric data type, that is whole number. Okay, make sure to set the data type of country ID as whole number. Okay, that is 1, 2, 3 here. That is the symbol for whole number in Power BI. Now coming to the country column. So the country column is, the values are nothing but the names of the countries, right? So it is nothing but the text data, right? So click on the data type icon for the country column and set it to text. Okay, that is ABC. Now coming to year. Now year is a little bit tricky now. So we all know that year is a part of a date, right? DDMMYYYY. But if I set the year column, if I set the data type of the year column to date here, see what happens here. So basically it is assuming that this particular year is 2010. I mean, 2010 year is correct. That is the year we had, but it is assuming the date and the month part here. It is saying that it is 1st of Jan 2010. And if I click on the filter menu here, and if I see the other values here, for the years 2030 to 2040, what is happening? It is assuming that it is the year 1905, right? So it is sort of assuming the year, month, as well as the date here. So we can't set year to the data type date here. Okay, because it is assuming the month, it is assuming the date, and in some case, it is also assuming a different year, right? It is assuming 1905. But in reality, we only have data from 2010 through 2040. So we can't set the data type of the year column as date here. Okay, so we have to set it as whole number. The reason why we are setting it as whole number is because 2010, 2011, 2012, they are all they are all whole numbers, right? You don't see any decimal points, or you don't see any, any other number format for the year of the date format here, right? So 2010, 2011, 2012, they are all whole numbers, right? So it makes sense to set the data type of the year column to whole number. Okay, so you can click on replace current. So basically it is asking if you want to add a new step. We don't want to add a new step because we are changing the data type of all the columns, at a single instance, right? So let us, when asked with the option to replace the current step or to add a new step, make sure to give it, make sure to select the option that says replace current. Okay, now we have set the data type of year as the whole number. Okay, now coming to age group. So age group, basically it defines a range of ages, right? 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, and so on. Now we know that there are numbers involved in the age group, right? Where we are defining a range of numbers, right? Defining the age range. Now, if I set it to a whole number here, if I set the, excuse me. So if I set the data type of the age group column as whole number, we will get an error. The reason is because we had this hyphen symbol, right? We had this hyphen symbol here, 0, 2, 4, 5, 2, 9. So since hyphen is not a part of the numeric data type, Power BI doesn't consider these values to be of the data type whole number or decimal number or the numeric data type in general. So we have to set the age group data type as text. Okay, so make sure to set the data type of the age group column as text. Okay, now coming to population male and population female. So it is obvious here, right? We have to set the data type of the population male and population female columns as decimal number, right? Because we already have decimal number as the values present in these columns. So it makes obvious, or it is obvious, that we have to set the data type of population male and population female as decimal number. That is the first option here. Okay, so the fixed decimal is for currency, whereas the decimal number is just for the decimal values. Okay, so that is the difference between decimal number and fixed decimal number. You have these symbols here, right? So in the fixed decimal number, it has a dollar symbol. It means that you use it for, a currency value, right? If you have a column which has the currency data, you can use the fixed decimal number as the data type of that particular column. Okay. Now we have set the data type of population male and population female as decimal number. Now, if you notice the values, some values have 2 decimal places, some values have 3 decimal places. So it is not uniform. Now let us set the decimal places, or basically let us round these decimal places to 2 digits, okay, or to 2 numbers, so that all of these numbers look uniform. Now how to do that? So basically we select both the columns. Okay, so we select both population male as well as population female columns, because we want to round the number of decimal places to 2 digits for both the columns now. So instead of doing it for first, for male column first and for female column next, let us select both of the columns, go to transform, okay, and under the number column section here, there is an option called as rounding. Okay, click on the rounding option and select round option. Here you specify how many decimal places you want to round off. So here we want to round off the decimal places to 2 digits. So you specify 2 as the decimal places and click on OK. Now we have basically rounded off the decimal places to 2 numbers for both population and population male and population female columns. Now here you might say that we are not able to see the second digit.
How did we do it another same way, right?
Yeah, we go to transform. Okay, first you select the column, go to transform, and in the number column section rounding. Here, okay, yeah, rounding, and select round. Okay, there are other 2 options, round up and round down. So basically you'll be rounding up by 1 digit and rounding down by 1 digit. But since okay, we wanted to do it for all the values, it is it is best to select the round option and specify the number of decimal places you want to round off. Now here what is happening, you're not able to see the next digit here because it is 0, right? So after the decimal place or after a digit here, 3.4, how many ever zeros you have, it still means 3.4, right? So that is why Power BI is not showing you the 0 part here. Okay, nevertheless it still means it is 3.40. Okay, so 3.4 and 3.40 is the same, right? Excuse me. So this is how we can change the data type of the columns, right? And also round off the decimal places to how many ever digits you want, or basically it is based on your requirement. Okay. Now let us learn the next concept, that is the replace values function. Okay, that is the replace values function. Now the replace values function, we are going to apply to the age group column here. Now, if you open the filter window, or if you access the filter menu for the age group column, you can see that there are some weird values here, right? Along with the age range, we have 5.September and October 14. So what is happening here is, I manually basically replaced this in the first instance. So I wanted to do this because I wanted to use the replace values function to replace these 2 values, right? To replace these 2 values with the age range. So here what is happening is September is the 9th month, right? In a list of months, September is the 9th month. So what is happening here is, instead of 5-9, it has been taken in as 5.September. So since September is the 9th month, and here what is happening is, since October is the 10th month, instead of the number 10, it is coming as October. So now what we have to do is, we have to replace 5.September with 5-9, and we have to replace October 14 with 10-14, and then we will be getting the actual age group ranges. Right here we are seeing these dates instead, the month name instead, because September is the 9th month, we have to replace it with 5-9, and because October is the 10th month, we have to replace this particular value with 10-14. Okay, now let us learn how to replace these values with the custom value of our own, that is 5-9 and 10-14. Okay, so the first step is to filter out the value which we want to replace. Now let us replace the values one by one. Okay, so first let us filter out for 5-September, then replace it. Then let us move on to the next value, that is October 14. So you can deselect all the values now, okay, and select only 5-September, sorry, 5.September, and click on OK. So now all the values in the age group column is of the value 5 dot September. Now to replace values, there are two ways. One way is to, in the home menu, there is this transform section here, right? There is this replace values option here. Okay, there is this replace values option. You can click on that. And here you have two options. One is the value to find, and one is the replace with. So this is basically find and replace in Excel, right? Control H, right? Where you find a certain value and replace it with a custom value of your own. That is the same concept here also, the replace values. Okay. So here we have to first find the value we want to replace. And the second option is the value which you want to replace it with. Now here we want to replace the value 05 dot September. Now here, if you simply click on the replace values, you have to type the value you want to find, right? It is 05 dot space September. Now here we have a space, we have a dot, and we have a 0 as well. There are chances that we might miss out on the 0. There are chances that we might miss out on the decimal point here, or the full stop here. Or there is a chance that we miss out on the space, or the capitalization of S here. Okay, so it is always a risk to type out the value you want to find out. So that is the reason we filtered out for 05 dot September. This way, the second way is much more simpler and much more effective. So the first way is to click on replace values and manually type the value you want to find, and then specify the custom value you want to replace it with. The second way is, since we have already filtered out for only the value we want to replace, right? We wanted to replace 5 dot September. So first what we did, we filtered out for the value. Now what we can do, we can right click on any of the values here, right? We can right click on any of the values here and select the option that says replace values. So now the values to find is automatically filled here, right? Since we right click on the value we wanted to replace, the value to find section here is already filled with 05 dot space September. So meaning we need not manually enter the value we want to find and replace it with the custom value. So Power BI did the job for us here. So we need not worry about the value to find part here. All we have to do is specify the, all we have to do is specify the replace with part here. Okay, so we are replacing it with 5-9. Okay, 5-9, that's it. And you click on OK. So now we can see that all the values that said 05 dot September has been replaced with 5-9. Now if you open the filter window here, and if you click on load more also, we'll see only 5-9 here, because in the previous step we had filtered it out, right? We had filtered out the part where the value was 05 dot September, and then we replaced it with 5-9. So here we are not able to see the other values. Now how can we go back to that? How can we go back to the the step where we had all the values, right? Not just 5-9. What we can do, we can just remove the filtered rows from the applied steps. Okay. So we can remove
Sir,
the
I
step.
have a doubt.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, here we are doing it for first 1000 values, right? So we have replaced only for first 1000 values, or all values has been replaced?
No, all values. So the 1000 rows here is only for the column profiling.
Okay, so basically when we replace like this, it will replace all the values in the same.
Exactly. So only for column profiling and basically these column analysis parameters, it is based on the top 1000 rows. But when you apply a filter or when you replace a particular value, it will be for the entire data set here.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, all right. So now here we are only able to see 5-9 value here. We are not able to see the other values in the age group. The reason is because in the first step, we filtered only for 5 dot September, right? So that is why we are only able to see these values now. Now, how can we go back to the view where we where we had other values in the age group column? You basically remove the filtered rows from the applied step. Okay. So now it will ask you, are you sure you want to delete this step? Yes, we want to delete this step. Now we are able to see all the values, right, along with 5-9. Okay. Now we repeat the same step for October 14 now. Okay, so you deselect all the values, select only this OKT. So OKT is nothing but October here. Okay, and then this particular value here and click on OK. Now we follow the same step here. You right click on any of the value. It doesn't mean you have to select only the 9th row or the 8th row. You can select the first row as well. Okay, so then click on replace values. So the values to find is already filled here. Okay, because we used the right click on the value, right, and selected the replace values option. So now we are replacing it with 10-14. Okay, 10-14 and click on OK. Now here again we'll not be able to view the other values here because we had filtered out only the value October 14, right? So now the step is to remove the filtered rows from the applied step. Okay, so to go back or to view the actual data. Okay, now if you access the filter menu, we can see all the values. I mean, you can click on load more to view all the 21 age groups here, right? So basically now we have 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24, and so on till 100 plus. Yeah, till 100 plus. So this is how we can use the replace values function to find or to find a value to replace and then replace it with a custom value of our own, right? So the first way is to simply click on replace values and manually enter the value to find. Now there are chances that you might type a different value here, right? There are chances of the mistakes happening here. So the best method, the effective method, is to first filter out the value you want to replace, then right click on the value, select the replace values option, and then you just have to enter the value you want to replace it with, right? You need not bother about manually typing the value you want to find, right? So this is the most effective way to use the replace values function in Power BI. I mean, you can use both functions. Okay, it is left up to you, but I prefer the second method so that you avoid mistakes while entering the value you want to find out, right? So this is basically the replace values function. Okay.
Anaga,
Yeah.
actually in the age group, when I try to filter it, I could see no data field as well there.
I think you had not filtered it out in the second data set, so that is why you might be seeing it. So here we filtered out the no data part. In the second data set, we filter out the no data part here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll filter it in our appended data. That
Yeah,
would
sure,
be
sure,
okay.
sure. Yeah. That should be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if not, what you can do before appending, it will be better if you guys filter out the blank rows, the null rows, or the the no data part. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, you will get additional rows here in the appended query.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. All right. So this is how we can use the replace values function in Power BI, where we replace the 5.September and October 14 with 5-9 and 10-14 respectively. Okay. Now let us learn about the how we can deal with errors, or to be more precise, data format errors. So now we have changed the data type of the columns, right? Country ID to whole number, country to text, year to whole number, age group as the text, and population male and population female as decimal numbers. Now, right now, if you see the column profiling here, the column profiling bar, and if right now it is showing for the top 1000 rows. Now let us switch it to the entire data set. Okay, let us switch to the entire data set. Just to make sure that we have 100% valid data. Okay. So it will take a little bit of time because now we have, I think, more than 1 lakh rows, right? Because we combined the rows from these 3 tables, right? This had 41,700 and odd rows. This had similar, and this had, I think, a little bit more rows. Now, if you change it to the entire data set, and if you scroll here, we can see that there is something different in population male column, right? So this is basically the error. So right now we have one error, right? In the population male column, we have one row where there is an error for a particular value. Your voice is not audible. Oh, is it? Okay. Let me just check once. Let me just mute and unmute. Okay. Am I audible now? Guys,
Yes, sir, you are audible.
yeah, okay. I think someone posted in WhatsApp that I'm not audible, so that's why. Uh, is anyone facing the issue? I mean, facing a similar issue where I'm not audible?
I faced it 2 minutes before that the voice was breaking, but now it's fine. I mean, only at times I felt it. I don't know
Oh,
whether it
okay.
is due to, I thought it's my network issue.
Okay. No, it was clear. Okay. Yeah, all right. I think it is only specific to that person who posted in WhatsApp. Are you able to hear now? I'm not sure. Let me just check the person's name. Yeah, Karthik, are you able to hear me now? You can post it in the chat, in the Zoom chat, if you're able to hear me. Oh, I think that person is, I think he'll rejoin the meeting. Anyway, yeah, let us carry on. Okay. So here, when we change the column profiling based on entire data set, we are able to see that there is one error. So basically, one row is facing an error. So we don't know what exactly that error is. It is just showing that one row is having an error. Now before moving on with dealing with that error, right? There are two ways to deal with the error. One is to delete that error, or one is to replace the value with a custom value of our own so that we don't face that error. Okay, there are two ways. One is to remove that error and one is to replace that error with a custom value. Now we know that one row is facing an error or is facing an issue, but we don't know what exactly that error is. Okay, now to view the error, the step is to click on close and apply option here. Okay, close and apply option. So right now we have made some changes to our data set, right? Where we changed the names of the columns and changed the data type of the columns, and also we replaced two values in the age group. So until and unless we apply these changes, we will not be able to view what exactly is going on with our data. Okay, so click on, sorry, not close and apply, click on the apply option here. Okay, click on the apply option. So basically the changes will be applied to our data set here. Okay. So now once the changes are applied, it is telling us that there is one error. So one of the loaded queries contained errors. So now we get an option to view what exactly that error is. Okay, let us do that. So let us click on the option that says view errors. So how did I arrive at this? So you have to go to close and apply and click on apply. Okay, close and apply option and click on apply. Okay, then you will get this window here. Now select the option that says view errors. Now here again, there is an internal bug in Power BI desktop. Yeah, so you can see this is the loading option here, right? This is the loading symbol here. So how long you wait, you will still see this loading screen here. Okay, so there is a workaround for this. Okay, so this is an internal bug here. Okay, so we are not able to see what exactly that error is. It is still loading here, right? You can see these dots, okay, coming and going. So this means it is still loading. So no matter how long you wait, you will be seeing this screen. Okay, you can wait wait for 1 hour, you can wait for 2 hours. You'll not be able to see what exactly the error is. Now this is an internal bug in Power BI desktop. Okay, now to work around, what we have to do, we have to close the file. Okay, we have to close the file. So click on close and apply and click on close. Okay, now you can click on apply changes here, or you can discard changes. Let us not bother about this. Okay, now we are in the home page of the Power BI desktop. Now to go back to Power Query Editor, what we have to do, we have to click on the transform data option present in the queries part of the ribbon section. Okay, there is this section called as queries. Click on the transform data option and it will take us back to the Power Query Editor. Okay, now there is this table called as errors in population 2010-2040. Now when we click on it, we will be able to see in which row, or basically what exactly that error is. Okay, so I will repeat the step. Okay, when we clicked on the view error option in the load window, we saw that the error was not appearing, or basically we were not able to see what exactly that error was. We were only getting the loading screen here, right? It was still processing. Now that is an internal bug in Power BI desktop. Okay, so to work around or to basically move past that bug, what we have to do, we have to click on close. Okay, then you will be taken back to the home page of the Power BI desktop. Okay, then to go back to the Power Query editor, you have to first locate the queries section and then click on the option that says transform data. Then you will be taken back to the Power Query editor window. And then you will be able to see the error, the error window here or the error query here, right? So click on the errors in population 2010-2040. And now we'll be able to see where exactly the error is occurring. So the error is occurring in the row number 88,304 for the country Qatar, for the year 2013 for the age group 80 to 84, and in the male population column, right? The population female column is absolutely fine, but the error is happening in the 88,304 and to be more precise in the population male column. Right now it is showing error. Now click on the error value here. Okay. So when you click on the error value, you will basically get a description of what exactly that error is. Now the error is the data format error. So basically what happened, the value, instead of it saying 6.246, it has these characters here, error underscore. So if you remember, we changed the data type of male population column to a decimal number, right? It is a numeric data type, the decimal number. And since it has, just a minute, guys, just give me a minute. Okay. Yeah, sorry for that. So now the error is with respect to a data format error. So one of the values, instead of it saying 6.246, it has been recorded as error underscore 6.246. So when we converted the data type, or when we changed the data type of the male population column to a decimal number, which is of the numeric data type, Power BI could not convert this particular value to a number, because if it was just 6.246, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have faced this issue, or we wouldn't have faced this error. But since it has these characters, error underscore part, it is not considered to be a number. Okay, because these are alphabets and this is a this is a symbol, right? Underscore. So Power BI could not recognize this particular value as a number, or basically it could not convert this particular value as a number or to a numeric data type. So that is the issue we are facing. Okay, that is the issue we are facing. Now, what can we do? Now, we can go back to the view here. Okay, so we can, so what we can do is, there are two ways. Okay, there are two ways to deal with an error. Now we can go back to the data set here, that is the population 2010-2040. We can change the column profiling to entire data set. Okay, so that we'll be able to see the error in the column profiling bar here. Okay, because it is in the row number 88,304. So when we had this column profiling based on 1,000 rows, it showed us that there was nothing wrong with the data, because it only considered the top 1,000 rows. Only when we changed it to the entire data set, we were able to find out that there was an error. Okay, so that error was in the row number 88,304th row. Okay, so now there are two ways to deal with this error. One
Just
is
one thing.
yeah.
When you close this for that bug, and there were two options that were popping up. One was apply changes and discard changes.
Yeah.
We had already applied changes. So why is it again showing that you apply changes or discard changes?
So that is with respect to the report view here. So right now we are working in Power Query Editor. So that was with respect to basically the report view of the Power BI. So here also we are able to see these data, right?
Okay.
So in the fields pane. So right now what is happening, we are only working in Power Query Editor. So when you want to make apply those changes in the report view, that is for the data visualization, you have to click the apply changes. Okay, then those changes will be applied in these fields also. Okay, so that is why it was asking us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it has changed only in the Power Query. It has not changed
Exactly.
in the exact entire Power BI. Right?
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So we'll go back to Power Query Editor now. So now there are two ways to deal with an error now. Okay, so the first method is you hover to this column profiling bar and select the option that says remove errors. So what it will do, it will remove that entire row. Basically, the row number 88,304 will be removed. Right? We don't want that because the error is the issue we are facing is instead of 6.246, the value error underscore 6.246 is coming. So instead of deleting that entire row, what we can do, we can use the replace values function, right? We can replace this particular value that says error underscore 6.246 with just 6.246, right? And then the error will will be resolved. Okay. So let us do that. So let us go back to our data set. Okay. And here, what we can do, we can use the replace values function. Okay. So click on the replace values function. And here we have to type the value we want to replace. In our case, we want to replace error underscore 6.246 with just 6.246. Now let us type the value now. Error underscore 6.246. Now here, what is happening? It is giving me a notification here. What exactly is that notification? Enter a number value. So here, what is happening is the data type of the population male has already been changed to a decimal number or a numeric data type. And since the population male is of the data type, decimal number, this particular value error underscore 6.246, it is not being recognized as a number, right? So it is not allowing me to click OK, or basically I can replace this with 6.246, but it is not giving me an option to click on OK here. The reason is because since the data type of population male column is already of a numeric data type, this particular value is not being recognized as a numeric data type. So hence Power BI is not able to find this value. Okay, it is not able to find this particular value because the numeric data type is already applied to the population male column. So what we have to do, we have to change the data type of the population male column, or basically we have to remove it from the applied step, and then we have to replace this value with 6.246, and then change the data type of the columns again. Okay, so that is the workaround now. Okay, so we could have easily deleted that entire row. No, there was a simple fix. So basically, instead of 6.246, it was saying error underscore 6.246. So what we decided, we decided to replace this value with just the numerical part, that is 6.246. But now the issue we are facing is, since the data type of the population male column is numeric, we are not able to apply the replace values function here, because error underscore 6.246 is not considered to be a numeric data type. So now what we have to do, we have to remove the we have to remove the changed data type from the applied steps now. Okay, remove it from the applied steps. So basically all the columns will be taken back to the original undetermined data type. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to remove the rounded off also. Okay, we have to remove the rounded off also.
Can we not just simply click on that cell and change it?
Yeah, we can. No, we can't, because what happens, the value is error underscore 6.246, right? So if you try to replace just by filtering it out for the error underscore part, you will not be able to do it, because we have already set the data type as numeric data type. So we have to go back to the original.
That's what, Anaga. So we have set it to numeric data type, right? So if we click on the error cell and if we enter a numeric value, will it not accept?
No, it will not.
Okay.
Yeah. So because just by you have to use the replace values function here. You can't just right click on the error part here, because you don't know what exactly that error is, right? So it will just say error. So if you go back to this view here, sorry, I think I changed the data type here. Okay. Okay, I think I'm not able to see it here. So you are asking if it said error part right here. Yes, you're asking if I can right click on the error value
No, it
and
said in
replace.
the next column, population male.
Ah,
Can you just filter out that error? Is it possible that we filter it out now?
now is it? So let me just check. It will not show here because
Okay.
it's a data format error. So it will not be available in the basically in the list.
No, and also you have removed the numeric.
Exactly, the data type. So now what we have to do, we have to select the population male column. So now we have removed, or basically we have deleted the steps where we changed the data type and also rounded off the population male and population female columns. Okay, make sure to remove those steps where we changed the data type and also rounded off the values in population male and population female column. Now we are back with this undetermined data type. Okay. So now what we have to do, we have to use the replace values function. Okay, so please make sure to select the population male column because that was the column where we faced that error, right? So now go to replace values and now type the value we want to find. So now we want to find error underscore 6.246. And now we just replace it with 6.246. Now we are not facing any issue here because the data type is not numeric anymore, right? So Power BI is not giving us, is basically is allowing us to make this change now. Okay, when it was numeric data type, this particular value is not a number, so it was not allowing us to replace this particular, or it was not able to recognize this value as a number. Now that is not the case, right? So now we can go ahead and click on OK. So let us wait for the change to happen here. Okay. So let us wait for the column profiling bar or the health indicator bar to make sure that we have 100% valid data. So now we have taken care of the error. So the easiest way, or basically the first way, was to remove that entire row, right? Removing the entire row is always not a good option, right? It's not a good option always, right? So instead what we did, we replaced that error term or that error value with basically the custom value. So instead of error underscore 6.246, we just replaced it with 6.246. Okay.
Anaga, instead
Yeah.
of going back to the changing data type, why can't we change that population male data type again to ABC there?
So that is not possible here. So the ABC 123 is not available here. That undeterministic data type is not available. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reason why we were getting ABC 123 is because in population 2010-2019, the population male column was ABC. But in case of 2030-2040, it was this ABC 123. So basically it was a combination of the data types present in both the columns. Now that ABC 123 part is not available in the available set of data types in Power BI. Okay, so that is why we had to basically delete that step where we change the data type of all the columns. Okay, so now what we can do, I will show you the step where Power BI automatically detects the data type. Okay, so we have learned how to manually change the data type of a particular column. Okay, now let us allow Power BI to automatically detect. Okay, so how can we do that? So basically, you select the columns. Okay, you select basically the columns for which you want to change the data type. Okay, now age group is of the data type text, which is correct. Okay, which is correct. So we have to select only the columns except age group. Okay, select all the columns except age group. Okay, except age group. And excuse me, guys. And in the transform menu here, there is this option called as detect data type. So basically what it does, it automatically detects the data type of the currently selected columns. Okay, so when you click on this option, Power BI automatically detects the data type here. So country ID is a whole number, country is a text, year is a whole number, and population male and population female is a decimal number. Okay, so this is how you can use the automatic detect data type option in Power BI. Okay, so we have learned both now, right? Where we manually change the data type and where we used the detect data type option, where Power BI automatically detects the data type of the currently selected columns. Okay, so now the remaining step is to round off the numbers or basically round off the decimal places present in male and population, male and female population columns. Okay, so you select both the columns, go to rounding, go to round, and then specify the decimal places as 2 and click on OK. Okay, so we need not manually change the data type of all the columns again. Okay, we can just select the columns, right, except age group, because age group is already of the data type text, so we need not change it. Okay, so what we did, we selected the other 5 columns. We went to transform and then clicked on the option that said detect data type. So basically it automatically detects the data type of the selected columns. Okay, so this is how you can use the automatic detect data type option in Power BI. Okay, so
and where
if you
does it show, Anaga? Where does it show?
It is in the transform window and detect data type option.
No, where does it show what data type is there in particular column?
It is to the left of the name of the column here.
No, see, we use this option, right? Transform detect data type.
Yeah.
Then ideally it should show us what is the data type for the selected columns, right?
It is already showing here, right? So instead of ABC 1, 2, 3, it is showing 1, 2, 3 now.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the previous step here, if you see here, it was ABC 1, 2, 3, ABC 1, 2, 3. So now when we used the automatic detect data type, it is right now changed, right? You can see 1, 2, 3 for country ID, ABC for country, and so on.
Okay. And when we change the error, we need not apply it.
We have already basically we have replaced the value, but right now we have not applied the changes. Okay, if you want to apply the changes now, we can go ahead and do that. Okay, we can go back to home, we can go to close and apply, and we can click on apply. Now we will see that basically we will not encounter any issues. Let this load. Okay, so now you saw that, right? Basically we did not see any error. No. Okay, so now if you go back to the errors in population window, you're not able to see any of the error row here because we've already dealt with. So now what we can do, we can just delete this section here. Okay, you can go to this folder, right click and select delete group.
Anaga, did you round off this population female also, or you round off?
Yes, we rounded off both population and female columns in a single instance. So what we did, we selected both population male and population female column. We went to transform, go to rounding, the round option, and specify the decimal places as 2.
Because when I select both the columns, I couldn't see the rounding enabled there.
I think you have to check the data type first then. So both has to be decimal places. Decimal numbers.
I just selected this detect data type. So it should be the population female also should be like changed to decimal, right? But it didn't get to change to decimal.
So what is the data type of the population female column?
It's still undefined.
So I think you need to select that. So basically for the detect data type option to work, you need to select the column first. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, then it will work.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So now we have dealt with the issue, right? We have basically resolved the error, that is the data format error. So now we can go ahead and delete this particular group where the error was showing here. Okay, so you can right click on this group here. Okay, you can right click on this group here and select the option that says delete group. Okay, because we don't need it anymore because we have already solved the issue. Okay, just a minute, guys. I'll have a sip of water. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So this is basically how you deal with the error. So the first way is to straight away remove that error, or basically remove the row which has the error. Now that doesn't make any sense, right? When you have an option to basically deal with the error by replacing the error with the correct value, why should we remove it? So that is that is the step that that is the way that we opted, right? Where we replace that error underscore part with just the population data, that is 6.246. Okay, so to know the error, so basically if you are facing an issue, always make sure to change the column profiling based on the entire data set instead of top 1000 rows, because that's what we faced, right? The error was in the 88,304th row. Right. So if I had, if I had this top 1000 rows option enabled, we wouldn't have, basically seen what exactly or where exactly that error was. Okay. And to make sure that we don't, we are not facing any more issues, you can just click on the apply option here. Okay. So then it will show you, if you have any error, it will show you in the load window where you'll be able to view the error. Okay. So this is basically how you can deal with the error using the replace values function. Okay, replace values function. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is pivoting and unpivoting. So pivoting and unpivoting is nothing but changing the orientation of the table. So basically you're using the concepts of crosstab and transpose. Are you guys familiar with the concepts of crosstab and transpose?
Yeah, transpose I know, but crosstab I have never heard.
Okay, so so can you explain a little bit about transpose? So what do you mean by transpose? So what are you doing when you use the function transpose?
Transpose is basically changing rows into columns and columns into rows.
Yeah, exactly. So basically you're okay. Do we have a question here? Okay. Yeah. So transpose means basically you're converting many columns into one column, right? So that is
many rows into one column.
Yeah, many into one. So basically, so that is transpose. And in Power BI terminologies, it is called as pivot or pivoting. And crosstab is the opposite of transpose, right? Where you convert one column into many columns of attribute value pairs. So basically, this is called as.
I didn't get you.
So pivoting or basically transpose means you convert many columns into one column.
Okay.
Whereas crosstab is where you convert one column into many columns.
Okay, it's the opposite of transpose.
Not exactly, but not exactly the opposite of crosstab. But yeah, so basically the logic is the opposite. But when it comes to the working principle, yes, you will see a little bit of change here. Okay, so I'm going to show you how exactly this pivoting and unpivoting works. Okay, so in Power BI terminologies, crosstab is unpivoting, whereas transpose is pivoting. Okay, now let us do that. Okay, let us apply it for one of the columns and see what exactly pivoting and unpivoting looks like. Okay, now right now let us select the male population column. For example, okay, let us select the population male column. To pivot and unpivot, we have to go to the transform window here, and there is this two options, pivot column and unpivot columns. So right now let us first check the unpivot option here. Okay, unpivot columns option. Or let me just hide this window. Yeah. Okay, now let us check the unpivot column option here. Now there are three options here: unpivot columns, unpivot other columns, and unpivot only selected columns. So this is nothing but the remove columns and remove other columns option here. Okay, unpivot columns means translates all but the currently unselected columns into attribute value pairs. Unpivot other columns means basically it applies the unpivoting function on the other columns, right, except the currently selected ones, right? And unpivot only selected columns, it translates only the currently selected columns into the attribute value pairs. Okay, so these are the options in unpivot columns. Okay, now let us select the first option. Okay, unpivot column. Now when you unpivot the population male column, you can see that it has been converted into two columns, right? One column has been converted into many columns of attribute value pairs. The attribute is nothing but the column header or the name of the column, and the value column is nothing but the values present in that population male column, right? So this is unpivoting, or basically this is crosstab, where you convert one column into multiple columns of attribute value pairs. So the attribute is nothing but the name of the column, or basically the column header, whereas the value column is nothing but the values that were present in the population male column. So this is called as unpivoting. Okay, this is called as unpivoting, or basically crosstab, where you convert one column to many columns. Okay. Now this structure is not desired, right? We could have only one column here. So the population female column makes more sense than this attribute value pair for population male column, right? Because instead of having two columns, we could have had only one column. So this is not a desired structure here, right? This is not a desired structure. So what we can do, we can either remove this from the applied step, or to go back, or to basically pivot these columns, or to take back to the original structure, we can select the attribute value columns and select the option pivot columns. Okay, so basically here, okay, I'll come back to this window here. Okay, so what we are doing is we want to go back to the original view, right? We want only one column for population male and the respective values. So the first step is basically to remove it from the applied steps, or if you want to use the pivot column. So pivoting and unpivoting are opposite, right? So right now we have unpivoted the population male column. To pivot it back, you select the two columns, right? You select the attribute and value columns, and you select the pivot column option now. Now in the pivot column option, it is asking which column do I want to choose for the values to be present in the population male column. So right now it will convert the attribute column, or basically it will use the attribute column as the column header. Okay, so now we are transposing these two columns, or basically we are pivoting these two columns. So pivoting means many columns into one column, right? So when you convert it to one column, you need to have a column header and you need to have values in that particular column, right? So the attribute, the values present in the attribute column will be considered as the column header. So the first part is solved, right? When it goes back to one column, the column header is nothing but the attribute values here. But the population male column had some values, right? It had that, population data. So that is what it is asking now. Which column should you choose to be the values present in the population male column? And here we have to select the value column here, right? We cannot select any other column here, because then we will get the wrong data. So make sure to select the values column as value, so that the values present in the value column will be considered as the values present in the population male column. And then you can click on OK. Now we have our original data back here, right? We have the original data back here, where we have one column for population male and the respective values. Okay, and the respective values, right? So this is the concept of pivoting and unpivoting. Now, if you come to the left of the screen, you can see that the structure, or basically the order, has changed now, right? We could see all the rest, the countries, right? Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, Aruba, and so on. But right now we are seeing only Afghanistan. So this is the effect of pivoting and unpivoting. Okay, so right now we are not able to see a list of countries. Right now we are only able to see Afghanistan for the different years, different age groups. I mean, we still have all the other countries, but the order of the countries appearing in the countries column, right? The values appearing in the countries column has changed now, right? Right now we are only able to see Afghanistan here for different years, right? You can see the years changing here, right? 2010, 2011, 2012, and for the different age groups. So this is the effect of pivoting and unpivoting a particular column. Okay. Now, in tomorrow's class, what we will do, we will unpivot both male and female population columns. Okay. We will unpivot both male and female population columns, where we will have two columns again, right? So the attribute column will have population male, population female values, right? The names, and the values column will have the respective population data for male and female genders. Okay. Then what we will do, we will apply some sorting and splitting and extract the data functions to go back to this original view. So this is the original view for us now. Okay, I mean, in tomorrow's class, I'll explain in detail. So this is the original view we had, right? Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, Angola, and so on. But when we applied this unpivoting and pivoting column concepts, the view changed here, right? We are only able to see Afghanistan now. Now in tomorrow's class, what we will do, we will unpivot both population and male population female and population male columns together, and then we will assume that this is the original data that you were given, and you are asked to go back to this view. Okay, so to go back to this particular view, from this view we will apply some some more additional Power Query editor functions. Okay, Power Query editor functions, and get back to this view. Okay, so that is what we are going to do in tomorrow's class, and I think I will need just 2 more classes for Power Query editor, and then we can move on to Power Pivot, where we will create data models, establish relationships, and also use the DAX language, or the data analysis expression. Okay, please make sure to save the file, guys. Okay, please make sure to save the file and also click on apply. So please make sure to save the file at the end of each session. Okay, so this will take a little bit of time because we have close to, I think, 1 lakh or 1 lakh and odd rows. Yeah, 1,29,000 rows. Okay, so please make sure to save the file always. Okay, so we can stop for today and reconvene again tomorrow at 7:15 in the morning. Okay, thank you everyone and have a nice day.